just calls or is it also video?
Yeah.
Depends on the offer, right? So there's DM only roles. There's roles that you just do over Zoom. There's roles where you are um on the phone. I've done all of them. So yeah, depends on the offer.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy.
Awesome. Any other questions? What else do we have? Osman, Zashay. Osman, I know you had some questions, man.
Yeah, I ask you some question like I want to join, so I need like a more information.
Sure. What do you want to know?
I don't know, just say maybe like what is also like exactly what's the high ticket sales?
You're saying what is high ticket sales?
Yeah, like what is the exactly like what you gonna do, what I need to do?
Yeah, so, usually what you're doing is you're working with companies selling typically remotely the different products and services that they have. These services usually are some are software sales, some are coaching and consulting programs, a lot of advertising services with different marketing agencies. It can range on what it is you're actually selling. And the reason why people call it high ticket sales is because they're just high ticket prices. So it's usually selling something that's $2,000, $3,000 or more in cost. Usually you get anywhere from a 10 to 20% commission per sale.
Yeah. No, like I'm planning to join, like it is a 67 pound, isn't it? 67.
In terms of the subscription that we have, yeah, we've got one for 67 a month. Any other questions that you have about it? No, guess not. Is that Shay? Anything you wanted to know, man? Any questions you had?
No, basically I found this through a friend of mine, you know what I mean? Who's in they do like high ticket sales. So he was like, yo, join this because, whatever information you might want to know you can get from here. So I just hopped on to see what's the procedure of the call, how you run your calls and how much I can learn from it.
Yeah, this call, like I said, it's
It's
just
one thing watching. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just saying, yeah, this call is just open Q&A, whatever it is people want to work on, whatever it is people want to know, just allocated, an hour a week to answer any questions that people might have about the industry, about anything I provide, or if they just need help with sales in general.
Okay, got it. Do you also do like one-on-ones also?
One-on-one training, I don't have anything for one-on-one training right now, no.
Okay, cool.
So I have extra group calls for people that are in the community.
Hmm.
This is the one that I just do weekly that's free for anyone to jump on. But I
Okay.
don't right now, I don't sell any like one-to-one.
Okay. All right.
Caleb, man, welcome. How you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks yourself.
Good, good. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, all good. Last time I spoke, it was about that science data coach. I've kind
Hmm.
of been that off because at the beginning his advertisement was that it was just dealing with warm leads.
Hmm.
Turns out he wanted people to do cold outreach as well, and it was for a very expensive course. So I thought there's got to be better options out there because that seemed like I wasn't really going to be able to progress with that much.
Okay, so the guy that you did an interview with, he kind of wanted to bring you on to do cold outreach.
Yeah, yeah. Which I'd rather try and aim to do setting with warm leads
Hmm.
or like DM setting, but it was through LinkedIn and it was cold outreach, and I've not got too much experience with LinkedIn
Fair
right
enough.
now, so I just thought not gonna be the right role.
Fair enough. Yeah. Find something that is in alignment with what you want. Nothing really wrong with cold outreach if they have good systems in place, but if that's not what you're looking for,
Yeah,
then that's totally fine, especially if it's just cold LinkedIn. What I would like to see if I was doing cold outreach for a company is that they've have proof in history that they've sold cold before. That way I'm just stepping into a process that they've proven works and improving
but
the offer in the market.
yeah, no, 100%. I've got a question to do with closing. How would you deal with the I need to think about it objection?
Yeah, the first thing to realize with that objection is that's not an objection. You know, it's the what they actually need to think about, and then so your first goal is to get that out, and then you can handle that. So, if someone's like, "Hey, I need to think about it," cool, no problem. In your opinion, what is it that's causing you to want to go away and have a think, right? Obviously, a lot of people, you do this, you want to paste the objection first. You can confirm that they are sold on the actual service and they have the, like, they're like, hey, this is exactly what it is I need. And then you can kind of chunk down from there. But the biggest thing to remember with the think about it objection is that's not the objection. You want to get out what it is they actually need to think about. And it's usually either timing, they need to think about pricing, they're just fearful or unsure, uncertain about moving forward. So you need to get that out. Once you get that out, then you handle that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
No
So
problem.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So being part of community and whatnot, how would an individual know, well, I am ready to jump on a call to be a closer? Like, would you assess them and be like, okay, cool, you're ready, or you need to work on this, work on that, and then you know what I mean? Like, how does that work being part of your
Yeah,
whole
so
community?
we can definitely do reviews, listen to your
Okay.
calls, and see like, hey, you know what? Sound pretty good. I think you're ready, in my opinion. But at the end
Mm,
of the day, like, there's nothing stopping you from just going out and applying for roles. And if you land one, being one and jumping on and trying to do the best that you can, right? There's no, like, I don't necessarily say that, hey, you should wait, 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 wait. And when you're ready, or feel ready or you whatever, go apply and get on a roll. It's totally okay to learn while you earn, right? Get on a
okay.
roll or do what you can to get on a roll because that's going to take time. Um, and then once you're on a roll, just do the best job that you can. Now,
Mm,
if you have zero process, right? Like you should have an idea of what your sales process is before you jump on a roll, of course. So if you have zero
mhm.
process, then I'm not going to say, I know nothing about it. I have no sales process. I'm just gonna apply and jump on a roll and hey, what happens happens. Obviously, I wouldn't suggest that.
Right.
So I guess what I would say is understand at least the framework of
Mhm,
how I conduct a closer call from the beginning to end.
mhm,
And while you're practicing improving that framework, you can be applying and jumping on a roll because no matter what you practice, like whether it's from something I teach or someone else teaches you, you're going to probably most likely first fall in line with the framework and the process that that offer has anyway. So
mm.
you want to have just
What
a
does that mean?
well, every single business is different. They have their own
Mm,
way of selling, right?
mm,
And if they have people that are on the team doing a very good job, if it ain't
mm,
broke, don't fix it. You don't want to come there and say, hey, I'm going to change your process. You're just going to fall in line with what their process is. Now, they're all going to be similar, right?
mm,
That's why I say you want to understand the overarching, for example, if you're a closer, you want to
mm,
understand the overarching framework of, we come to the call, we figure out the reason for change. It's like we frame the call, we ask them, questions about what brought them to the call, what the problems are that they're struggling with, what the solutions they've tried to solve those problems, the goals that they have at the end of the day, what are they trying to achieve here? Why did they
mm,
reach out for our help? Where are they trying to
mm.
go? Consequences of not achieving that goal, transition, and then going into the pitch, handling any concerns and closing the call. You want to understand how to go through that whole process at least before you start applying and jump on a roll.
Okay, got it. So basically, if I'm understanding you right, when I land a role with whoever, they would already have their, I guess, not script, but a way that they do things. So it doesn't matter how I learned it, I have to fall in line with what they're doing, basically.
Like they'll have scripts, they'll have lots of things in place to that are, that work for them, right?
Okay,
And not that you're going to like, I don't know, word for word copy someone else.
right.
But let's say they have a framework. Let's say you're used to going through a pain first, like call flow where you ask about the problems, then you ask about the goals, then go into your pitch. But
Mhm.
you jump on an offer and they're like, hey, we do goals first and then we do pain. And then so like you just follow along with the
Oh,
process that they have
okay.
first and foremost. And then you can start to make some iterations because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to jump on an offer with all of your own ideas of what works and what doesn't, and then I mean, you better hope that you perform, right? Because if you jump on and you're like, well, this is my way of selling, and then you get on and then you don't
Yeah.
perform, they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, who's this idiot? Like, what's this guy doing,
Yeah.
right?
You're trash, right?
But you can jump, like if you jump in, as long as the person teaching you is actually teaching you what most of the people on the team are doing, you should be somewhere middle of the pack, if not top of the team, right? So you should be doing
Okay.
a good job following their process, and then you can start like if you truly believe that you have things and your way is better, you can start to make iterations afterwards.
Got it. So basically, this is technically like I don't want to say like a job, but you have your orientation process once you get when you land a role. There's someone that's going to be teaching you what they do on that side. They're not just throwing you in there saying, "Okay, well here, you know, you're a closer, and
Yeah,
this is the script that we go by."
and that's the difference between landing a good offer versus a
Hmm.
bad one, right? Like you want
Okay.
to land an offer where, well, not necessarily that they're good or versus bad. I would say someone that is like doesn't have much experience and maybe needs more guidance. You want to get on an offer where there's leadership that's actually going to help you grow, who's going
Mm.
to teach you, review your calls, all that stuff. And I'd say you always want someone reviewing your calls, even if you do have a lot of experience. But there are offers. Like I've been on offers where it was just a solopreneur. He's running a coaching program. He's running a advertising funnel where he's running ads on YouTube. They, opt in on the landing page, watch the VSL. They book calls directly on my calendar. We didn't do any team meetings. I just filled out the tracking sheet and I sent him, and I let him know every time I processed a close, and he sent me my commissions, and we just talked on WhatsApp, and that was the extent, right? And I just set my availability. The VSL funnel filled my calendar for the times that I had available, and that was that. So there are offers like that.
Hmm.
You don't want that to be like that's not an offer you necessarily want to get as someone who's a beginner because
Mm.
without that guidance and leadership, you could be kind of lost, right? But for someone like me, if I take an offer like that, like I'm fine with that because maybe I'm opening up like 5, 6 slots a day, or maybe I'm opening up 3, 4 slots a day for that offer, and then I'm doing other stuff with my time, and I'm not, like. Would it be good if that business owner was still meeting here and there, reviewing calls and helping you improve? Absolutely. That's what they should be doing. But if they don't want to do that, that's just not what they do, right? And you can't force that. Um, so I would definitely, if I was brand new, make sure
Hmm.
that I'm on an offer where there's like team meetings, where they review calls, where they help you, where there's a structure in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
Yeah, I had a quick question for you, Ty.
Mhm.
I was just on the school app and I saw one of your posts, and you said something really interesting that I didn't even consider before. It was how you termed it as a full cycle rep, and I was one of the guys. I kind of developed this mindset where I'm like, I'm gonna be a closer. I don't want to be a setter, and I was curious about your perspective about why becoming a full cycle rep, or I guess being comfortable with doing both setting and closing, like how would that help? Like, why is that such a good thing?
Yeah, a few reasons. One, I guess the main overarching reason is you're more valuable, and you kind of secure your income that way. Because if I always have to rely on a business's process to set calls, you're always going to rely to some degree because, or then it's not a partnership. But if the more I have to, I'll say this, the more I have to rely on the business's process to make me money, the more chances there are for something to go wrong, right? Or you're just more dependent. For example, lead flow isn't always consistent. Sometimes they'll be booking 5, 6 calls a day. Sometimes it might be 2, 3 calls a day. You want to have the skills, if necessary, to supplement those times where leads are down to be able to maybe dial some of the leads that aren't booking directly and set them for yourself. So just having more income control is one of them because again, if they're setting me calls on my calendar and they're setting me a consistent amount of calls, whatever amount of like my income, my commission is now directly tied to the amount of calls that they put on my calendar. But let's say they get a ton of leads, like a couple hundred leads every single day in the system that I can just call and talk to and set for myself. Now, if I'm like, hey, I want to take 20 calls this week instead of 15, I have control to do that, right? So I can go and set my own calls. So it's like if I know, let's say on average, if I take 20 calls a week, I make 5K a month in commission. I'm like, okay, well, if I can self-set deals and double that, then that's a quick path to 10K a month instead of making five, right? Instead of being like, hey, can you up the call volume? Can you, like, you know what I mean? You're not relying on them. You can just go out and make more if you want more, right? It's just like how appointment setters make more money. Appointment setting role, you dial, you set for the closer. If you want to make more, the easiest way is to dial more, right? So as a closer, you can wait for those setters to fill your calendar, or you can have those setters fill your calendar, be like, hey, that's great, but I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna set some for myself as well, right? To fill my calendar even more. So that's one. Another reason is most, if not all, I can't say all, but most businesses will pay more commission for those deals as well. So, for example, every single offer I've ever been on has done something similar to this: 10% for closed deals. But if you call the leads, like they have inbound leads coming in from advertising that didn't book. But if you go and call those leads yourself and set them instead of relying on the setter or whatever other process they have in place, those leads you close, maybe those are 15% commission or 20% commission, right? Because typically appointment setter might get 3 to 5% commission. If you went and dialed the lead and set them yourself and the setter no longer needed to set for you, you could just go ask for that 5% commission. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, why? So you can go get 15% instead. So you can make more money. Business owners are happier to bring you on board because you have skills to do both. And a lot of roles do require that. So in the high ticket space, when it comes to like coaching, consulting, advertising agency, those are really the only, like, this remote high ticket space is only the real place where people are not full cycle. Like, I consider being full cycle like real sales. Like, you're a sales rep if you do full cycle. Every sales rep should know how to do full cycle. Does that mean you'll always need it? No. Ideally, if I could choose, I would love to get a role where I never had to, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to if needed or necessary, or if I wanted to, right? Um, if you go like into the SaaS or tech sales world, right, where you're selling a lot of like software products, like SDR roles, account executive roles, a lot of those do have, like, a lot of those roles are full cycle. Now, they do pay a big base pay usually because it's more cold. They don't necessarily generate as many leads for you as like a closer role would. But they obviously they compensate you, accordingly. So there's like so many avenues to go, and it really comes down to the amount of money you want to make and the type and amount of work you're willing to do to make that money, right? Like, you know what I mean? So you want to find a good balance between that, and there's nothing wrong with being full cycle.
Thank you for explaining all of that. You actually somewhat inspired me to want to be full cycle, because it just makes a lot of sense the way you framed it, and the control, and how you don't have to really rely on, setters if, setters aren't setting. So, yeah, appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been times like years and years ago where, I had a bill coming up, like a bill surprised me. And, I had two choices. It's like, am I going to wait for the appointment setters to fill my calendar, or am I going to go self set some deals and just create income and and pay that bill, right? And that's one thing I love about sales, remote sales, sales in general, is you have the ability to just create money out of almost nothing, right? That's why I'm a big fan of like cold outreach. Like, I suggest every rep, again, to not have to, but be able to do cold outreach. Like, if you like, how confident would you be stepping into this industry full time if you were like, yeah, if I really needed to, I could just go on LinkedIn and by the end of the week close like 3, 4 deals and make an extra $3, 4 thousand. You know what I mean? Like, how confident would you be in your position? Not that you ever have to, because your company's generating you leads, but it's like, oh, it's a slow week. Let me just go on LinkedIn and pull out 2 grand extra. Like, you know what I mean? Easier said than done, but if you have the skills to do it, that's great. Why not? You know? Cool. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I just got a question based off of everything that was said. So when you're going into your first, I guess, company or your first role, um, when you speak about, getting your own leads, you're getting your own leads for that particular role, correct?
Um, are you talking about like self-setting deals? Like where do those leads come from?
No,
Is
no,
that what you're
like for
saying?
the for like no, like for the company. Like let's say it's a fitness company,
Hmm.
and you want to go, and of course you got their set, and you go out there and close your own deals.
Hmm.
So is this something that I guess the owner of the company needs to know before? Well, this guy's a setter and a closer. He can do everything. Or if you're in it and then it's a slow week, you can just go out there and do it yourself. Like how does that even?
Well, a business owner's not going to be mad at you if he said, "Hey, I went, reached out to someone and saw they were a good fit for the
Okay,
program and sold them the
okay.
service and collected 3 grand for you." He's not going to be like, "Zache, why would you do that?
All
What's wrong with
right.
you?" Like that's not
I,
going to
I,
happen.
I- I'm not,
You
I'm
know what
not
I
sure.
mean?
I'm new to this space, so I'm not
So
sure how people operate. Hmm.
what I would do is first negotiate, like, hey, if I ever would do this, do I get more commission? Make sure that's
Mm,
established. Because if you don't establish that first, if you don't establish that term, and then you just go and close it, now it's like you gotta ask for it afterwards. You're like, oh, what if he's like, oh no, it's the same amount? Not that it would be like the worst thing in the world if it was the same amount of commission, but if you could have got more, like you know what I mean. So
okay.
I would establish those terms, yeah.
First, okay.
And if you want, like, just on this to be on the safe side, sure, ask, yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay.
The only concern from business owners would be like, are you bringing in the right fit? But if they don't trust you to bring in the right fit, you're probably not going to be their closer anyway. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
okay.
So like, why would they bring on a closer that they can't trust that can go out and I've never met a business owner yet that would be upset that someone just did like cold outreach and closed the deal for them.
Okay. All right.
But primarily, when I say self-setting, though, I primarily mean leads from the CRM, like leads that the business is generating that aren't necessarily being set, right?
Okay.
So
All right.
cold is great as well. Again, you want to have the skill to do it, but
Right.
if you're on a great offer, you shouldn't ever have to, but you want to have the skill to do it, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
So if I
All
gave
right.
you an example of what I mean, just so it's super, super clear, can you guys see this whiteboard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so typically, and my drawing is horrible, so please pardon that. So, like, this would be like the ad, right? So the company is
Mm-hmm.
running ads, right? And the ads will go to a landing page, and that landing page will have like just for simplicity's sake, let's just say this was the landing page opt-in. Actually, sorry, that landing page will have like an opt-in. Let's do this. And you guys have all been here before, I'm assuming, where you put your name and email, and then there's a button to say like watch training
Yes.
or something. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
free training or it's a free download, something, right? So now, are you guys drawing on this? I think it's letting you guys draw on it. Don't draw on it. Um, so now you've gotten like the email and the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're gonna get passed on to a video page. Again, part of my drawing, where they're gonna watch the video of the training, and then there's gonna be a big option here, usually to let's just let's say this is the calendar where they can book a call, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the process, like for a lot of different businesses that you guys will be working with. Some
Mm-hmm.
type of ad. Sometimes instead of a video, this is like a free community. Like school is huge now, so people may be opting into school, and then the DM setter DMs them to set the call, whatever the process is. So let's say you got an ad, they opt in the video. There's always a drop off. So out of you guys don't click on every ad you see, right? So let's say, from here to here, from people that see the ad, 100 people see the ad, right? There's a drop off. Let's say only 40 people click the ad, right? Out of 40 people that click the ad and now are on this page, it asks for your name and email. Not everyone's going to do that. Let's say only 10 people give their name and email and get here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now there's only 10 people watching the video. And let's say to book the call, let's just say this is a phone. That's a terrible looking phone, but cool. So out of the 10 people that are on the page to book a call, let's say only two people book the call, right?
Mhm.
Now, out of that, there's still 10 people that we have their names and emails, and most of these landing pages will also collect their phone number, right?
Mhm.
So you as a closer, let's say you're like, okay, I've got two calls, but let me go ahead and call the other eight people. And from those eight, you have a quick conversation, talk to them, hey, might be a good fit for you, whatever. And now you set an extra two. So now you go from two calls to four calls.
Mm.
And maybe you close one of these, you get 10%. Maybe you close one of the other ones, you get 15%. So that's what I mean by like self-setting deals. Because usually
Okay.
what happens is, you're just chilling, you not just chilling, but you taking those two calls, and then an appointment setter's job is to call those eight on your behalf and set them for you.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also good to set for yourself. Now, some companies they don't have appointment setters; they just have the VSL funnel. Like I worked with one like that where there was no appointment setter. There was just um there was just me taking calls, and that was like a smaller time company where it was again solopreneur. I was only taking like 2 to 3 calls per day, and, if I had known better, I would have been calling. There were so many leads opting in, and not many of them got to the booking. If I knew better, I would have also been calling those leads and probably making way more money on that opportunity from self sets because there was no setter. It was just if they went far enough to book, they booked, and the business owner would have been happy because they would have made way more money on their leads because more of them would have closed. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool. What else we got? Any other questions?
Yeah. I actually got two questions for you. What you just said about cold outreach, man, it actually stuck with me. And in my mind, I want to be as comfortable as I can, or develop that sense of being comfortable and confident on the phone. And I figured, in addition to your college, why not actually go ahead and just do some cold outreach? So I wanted to ask you, what do you think are some of the best ways to go about it? Like as far as like maybe network on LinkedIn or specific sites or DM, people. Uh, and also the second question is, in your opinion, is it better to start as a setter or a closer, or does it not really matter?
Yeah, I'll answer the first question first. It doesn't matter. Starting as a setter is easier, but it doesn't matter. Like, go for what you want, you know? Like, if you confident with talking to people, I mean, either or, like, just go for what you want. It's less about which one's better and more about which one fits the lifestyle you're going after more. There are different lifestyles, right? Like, as an appointment setter, for example, again, you can be a DM setter where all you do is, you maybe usually you're like in the DM accounts of an influencer and you're just managing their DMs and setting appointments for them or their sales team through DMs. And, it doesn't matter really where you are or whatever. You're just sitting on the couch in your underwear, just messaging people online and setting appointments that way. And that's all that you do. Um, if that sounds appealing to you, you could go for that. There's phone setter where you probably get like 20 to 30 new leads every single day, new phone numbers coming in, and all you do is you get your headset, you jump on the computer, and you dial people, and you say, hey, saw you opted into our video, wanted to see if you got a chance to go through it, and you ask them some questions, and if they're a good fit, you set, maybe you call like 100 people a day, maybe only 20, 30 pick up, and maybe you have a good conversation and set like 4 or 5 of them, right? So if you like the idea of that, the pros to that is you don't really have to be at your desk at any specific time. Now, obviously, you want to dial at certain times because people have, the pickup rates are higher at certain times. Like you're not gonna party all day and then dial at 10 o'clock at night, of course, but you know, it's a little bit more like setting your time exactly how you want. Um, and you can take different breaks, whatever. If you enjoy that lifestyle, if you think that's fun, just calling people and setting, cool. That's a good role. And then, as a closer, a little bit more strict, meaning Usually, a good company will want you to have like at least 6 slots for new calls a day, and each slot is usually 45 minutes to an hour. So, and usually they got to be at certain times in the day because, if I'm on an Australian offer, I got to work the Australian hours. If I'm on a, US Canada offer, I got to work like Eastern Central time zone. You can still kind of pick within that. You can do, I want to do 9 to 5, or I want to do 12 to 6, 7. Like, you could still kind of play with your time there. You could take lunch at whatever time in the day you want. So you do have that freedom as well. Um, but I've seen offers where closers are making 10K and setters are making 20. Like, you can make, don't get me wrong, it's easier to make a lot more money as a closer for sure. Cause, closers usually just get paid more. But if you can make good money doing either. It's more about which do you feel like you enjoy more, which are you kind of looking for? And if your goal is though purely like, I just want to make as much money as this industry can give me, then yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to be a closer most likely, and that's probably gonna be your best bet. But there's so many ways to go about it. There's no like best way. It's just like, what's your situation? Let's talk about what the best way for you is. You know what I mean?
I got you, man. I got you. And as far as the cold outreach, getting started with that, what suggestions do you have? I'm not even really concerned with money. It's more so just getting comfortable with like talking to people on the phone and dealing with objections.
Um, when you say getting started with cold outreach, like what do you mean?
Oh, you had mentioned it earlier when you were talking. I forget what question you were answering, but you were saying that you suggested that we should get comfortable with just doing cold outreach. I don't
Ah,
know.
so I mean, typically, I meant like when you're on an offer, right?
Oh,
But I mean, the first thing you're selling is yourself. Like that's your first test is, can I sell myself, right? So landing a job is going to be a lot of cold outreach, right? The fastest way to get an interview is to see a business like on LinkedIn or wherever that's hiring and just like call them. Just
hmm
find their phone number and cold call them. Like that's your first job is selling myself. Your interviews are you appointment setting for yourself. The interviews are you closing the deal. You know what
hmm
I mean? So you want to get like improve your interview skills, do interview mocks. Don't just do closing and appointment setting mocks. Do interview mocks, get good at interviewing, get good at reaching out to business owners. If you want to get good at cold outreach, go on LinkedIn, type in like remote sales or high ticket sales recruiting companies, or type that in on Google, search up those companies on LinkedIn. Go to, how LinkedIn, you can go to people, see who works there.
Yeah.
Go to people, scroll through the people, or filter by job title and put in like talent, put in recruiting, put in recruiter, whatever, or just put in like remote sales recruiter on LinkedIn and go to people, and then just like build relationships with all the recruiters, right? That's the fastest way to land a role is if a recruiter likes you, because each recruiter has access. If you think about it, like just like a ROI on your time, I can either reach out to business owners directly, and if that's like a 1-to-1 thing, right? Because it's either the business owner wants to hire me or they don't. But it's like a recruiter. If the recruiter likes me, they've got access to like 10, 20, 30 different offers that they can choose from to place me on, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you want to do some cold outreach and get comfortable with it, start cold outreaching to recruiters. Start cold calling businesses that have job opportunities open. Once you're comfortable that, and you think you're ready to start taking something on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you giving me that advice, Ty. Like there was something you said that just clicked it in my mind. I'm joining your college for a certain reason because of the preparedness, but like there was you said it in a certain way to where it's like, why not just get started now, like as soon as possible? It's not like it's going to be a bad thing. I mean, if you think it's a bad thing, feel free to tell me that, but something in my mind was just like, you know what, why not get comfortable as soon as possible? So that's my whole thought process.
Yeah,
But
there's
yeah.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with like even working with just like a smaller company that needs cold callers. Like for example, Caleb was in the call and he said he decided not to move forward with the offer because they wanted him to do cold DMs on LinkedIn. I mean, hit up Caleb and be like, "Yo, point me to that offer. I'll do some cold calling or cold DMing just for a few months so I can start building a track record, right? So I can at least say like, hey, I've been able to set this many appointments with this offer or whatever, right? Just so you can get your feet wet, get your experience, see if you even like remote sales, right?
Yeah.
See if you even think like, see if you even like sales in general, you know? Um, don't think the first offer you get has to be like this diamond offer, right? One thing I say to people is like, you can accept an offer that's not perfect if you don't have any experience or track record, and then but you want to consistently be networking and vetting and always looking for the best vehicle possible. That doesn't mean you're hopping from ship to ship every single month, but you want to make sure that you keep your options open so that when there's something that could really help you make like 200K this year, 300K this year, whatever, something that's a good offer, then you can join. You know what I mean? And ethically let go of the one that you're on. Obviously, not just piecing out one day, being like, hey, I'm not doing anything starting today. See ya. But, being like, hey, I'm gonna start to ramp down. I'm gonna ramp up on this offer. Um, and don't be afraid to just like test different offers. Like jump on an offer, and work it part time while you're working another offer and see if you actually are making good money there and then ramp down on the one that's bringing a less ROI, right? Like the best thing you could do is treat yourself as a business owner who's trying to sell your sales service to different clients, right? You're providing a sales service to clients, and just in the nature of business, you're going to give more attention to your clients that provide a higher ROI than clients that don't, right? So if you're working one offer and their leads, they can only, let's say you're a closer and they're setting you, maybe they're not, they don't have a lot of leads coming in, and maybe they're only setting you a couple calls per day. Maybe you can take on a second offer to supplement, like you're making 3K from that offer, 3K from another offer. You can make 6K a month doing that. And let's say one offer starts to pick up because you're closing deals, you're getting a good ROI, they start to ramp it up. Maybe you ramp down on this offer and ramp up more on that offer to really see more growth. Like, you know what I mean? There's lots of options to do it. It's really like you can go really custom tailored with how you do things. There's no one way, there's no 100% right or wrong when it comes to like what to start first, who to work with, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you for all that. I don't really have a question, but I just have a comment, and then I'm gonna let somebody else ask a question. I just wanted to say, I'm actually surprised by how flexible this can be because you mentioned something about Australia, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, it sure would be nice to work in the middle of the night while the kids are sleeping or something like that, and that helped me just realize the possibility of that. Like, instead of just focusing on the U.S. or Canada or my own time zone, the offers, I guess, are worldwide. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've worked with UK companies, I've worked with Australian companies, you know. There's lots of options. You're on mute, Zashay.
Yeah, so I got a question.
Hmm.
When it comes to getting the job, is there like a certain, I guess, requirement that you have to stay within in order not to lose that? Because I guess a fear of mine is, okay, you're a beginner, you start, and then you suck, and then let's just say you do like 3 calls, you lose the money, and then you don't get anything, and it's okay, you fired, you can't even land. You know what I'm saying? How is that process?
You're saying is there like a standard KPI to stay within to not get fired?
Yeah.
Depends on the offer. They usually define what that is, right? Like
Okay.
they'll say, hey, we want you to maintain a 20% close rate at least, or 30% at least, or 40% or whatever. And they'll say, hey, as an appointment setter, we're going to give you X amount of leads. And our expectation is that you're at least setting around 3 leads per day. Like they'll give you KPIs, right?
Okay. Okay.
To hit and to stay within, or at least like stay above, for every offer. Um, so it's just about terms. You ask them, you have
Okay.
that
All right. Cool.
conversation when coming on, and yeah,
Got it. And is everything like sent to you through email? Like, like you sign up stuff and everything? Like.
uh, it depends on the offer, right? So the thing about this industry is every
Mhm.
single offer, this is not like it's not like you're not working for a franchise where no matter what McDonald's you go to, they have certain processes that this is how McDonald's does things. Every single business is its own business, which means they do things the way they want to do things, right? So yeah, some companies they're gonna have like, offer letters and things to sign and this and that. And some companies you're gonna be going off of verbal, hey, this is what's gonna happen. Do you agree? But if you want, you can ask them for paperwork. And again, when I say those companies, I use that term loosely because, for example, as a Shay, if you're like, hey, I'm in pretty good shape. I want to help other people get in shape. Let me run some Facebook ads, post some YouTube videos about getting in shape, and I'll put a calendar link in my bio and let people book calls with me. And if they want to work with me, I'll charge them 3 grand and then I'll coach them on getting in shape. You do that, boom, you're a business. And when now you keep making content, your content starts to get a lot of views, and all of a sudden you're booking 5, 10 calls a day and you're hiring a closer. It's like, there you go. It's like, okay, well, now, are you gonna go get incorporated? These people don't have like legal teams and all that stuff. Like that's how
Mm,
a lot of these businesses are created. It's like, you know what I mean? Um, that they're making a lot of money. Are they doing good? Yeah, but you're gonna miss some of the corporate kind of onboarding things you might be used to with other companies, with some of these companies. Now, with bigger ones, is it more streamlined and more like official in those kind of senses? Yes. But there's also, for people that want to do like a smoother transition, there's also more corporate companies. That's what like the account executive roles are, the SDR roles are, where they'll pay you a 70, $80,000 base. Everything's going to be super official. You'll even get benefits and all that good stuff. And then they'll pay you a base plus commission, and then you just go out and do cold outreach, and close some deals. So some of them they have leads and stuff too. So that's also a great avenue to make 300K, 400K a year. If you want to be in a more official kind of corporate structure, there's also options for that too. It doesn't, you don't have to be with like a, bootstrap startup company like most of these are.
okay. All right. All
Cool,
right.
cool, cool. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
man.
I ain't got nothing.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Well, when we're out of questions, it's okay that we can end early. So anything else? Going once, going twice? Anything else you guys want to cover? No, everyone good to go? Everyone learned something? Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, glad I could help. We'll end it there for this one. We do these every single Monday. If you're in closer calls, we do have a call on Friday, and then I'm going to be adding a Wednesday call as well at this time. Um, Probably next week I'll add a Wednesday call. And then yeah, we'll be on 3 days a week. And I'll see you guys next time.